is Renee, and in the stream, we're going to share some new and wonderful facts. We'll give everyone about 5 minutes to get into the stream. Today, we're going to be talking about skinny Buddha, spicy peppers, and other facts. So, for now, grab yourself a drink, settle in, and come join us for some wonderful facts. Hello, Dominique. Welcome. Our quiz winner, our quiz master. What would you like your title to be? Wait, I meant evening. It is evening over here. Hello, I'm at the other side. Nice to see you again. You already messed up? Oh, it's okay. It's light out now. So it looks like afternoon. And this is like a first for us now. So I'm happy. I'd much rather have it be this kind of light. Because I'm not that good at the dark winters. So, there's still some sunlight outside of my window here. Hello, I'm a fan of the cat lady. How are you doing? How was your weekend? Oh, rubbish cans, you finished dinner and ran to the stream. That is so sweet. Oh, thanks. More lights outside, yes. And I'm hoping that I can get some kind of a color on me without really tanning too much, because I think I kind of blend in with the white walls behind me, which is an indictment of how much sun I've seen, I think. But we shall survive. We'll be fine. Just need a little bit of vitamin D. We'll do okay. Oh, there's a super cool bird sitting outside your window, Dominique. Do you know what kind? I know a few birds. Yeah, exactly. Living Legend has the good questions. What kind of bird do you see? Oh, Dominique, can you describe it? Is it like as big as a dove? Or is it tiny, like like a little sparrow? Those are small. Burb is burb. Yes. Yeah, maybe take a picture of it. You can put it in the Discord, in the chat bit, and then we can probably figure out what kind of bird it is. I know quite a few Dutch words for the Dutch birds, but I don't always know the English translations for them. Because we don't, like in South Africa where I used to live, we didn't have those birds. So I don't know those English words for birds. It was a huge bird that my dad and I always call predator bird. It's just big. Hey, I'm Trickster. Welcome. Oh, you're hyped for your monkey fact? Yes, I do have your monkey fact. I have even more for you. It's still a surprise. Oh wait, we'll give everyone 1 more minute to get in there. And then I do have your monkey fact for you. Maybe, Dominique, if it's just a big predator bird, it might be a buzzard, because most predator birds in the Netherlands are buzzards. Oh, I'm at the other side. A random fact. Sure. Well, one small one is that most birds of prey in the Netherlands are buzzards. So I think that one is that one. Don't you know that the bird is the word? Yes, the bird is the word. Oh, I have a hippopotamus fact for you. I'm at the other side. Did you know that hippopotamuses sleep underwater? Sometimes they like taking a nap there. This does pose the small problem of breathing, since they are not fish. But what they have is this special reflex where, without waking up, when their body senses that they're low on oxygen, they kind of propel themselves up, take a new gulp of air, and just sink back down. And they can do all of this while being fast asleep. So, also, hippos pretty cute underwater. They can't actually swim, but they're kind of just buoyant enough because they have really big lungs and a lot of fat. So they kind of like bounce along the bottom, and they tuck their little hooves in, which is really cute. They walk on their knuckles. And then they just kind of bob up to the surface. to breathe. Still very vicious, hippos. Not very sweet. Leave them alone if you see them. That fact lady with the facts. Hippos, not very nice. Okay, I think with that, we've given everyone 5 minutes. So, I think we shall start. So, welcome everyone. My name is Renee, and I love sharing with you the interesting facts that I have found throughout the week. I have facts for you that I have found, but I would love it if you would share any and all interesting facts that you have in the comments. After I've read a couple of facts, I'll pick a couple of comments to read out for everyone. Other than that, you can join our Discord, and there you can put any fact suggestions that you have, or just chat with us fellow nerds. And without further ado, we shall start with our stream for today. So, today we have Skinny Buddha, spicy peppers, and other facts. Today we're going to start as always with our missed shots. So at the end of every stream we play fact tennis, where you serve by giving me a subject and I try to hit back with a fact about that subject or related to that subject. If I miss any shots, then we start with those for our missed shots. Then for our animal of the week, the giraffe. This one will be very popular with Volcano Doc because I think she really likes giraffes. Then this is one from our fact suggestions on Discord. It is false facts for you. Then we're going to go on to wonderful words. And then also from our suggestions on the Discord, we have a true crime story. And this is the Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist. Then we're going to go on to our fact tennis. And as always, we end with our wholesome fact about cute aggression. First, our missed shots. We're going to be talking about Norway because I missed a shot about the entire country of Norway. Then on to the Siamang monkey, and then to our very own Dutch Michiel de Ruiter. And there he is. There is your monkey rubbish cans. Then, first on to Norway. Did you know that nobody knows exactly how long the coast of Norway is? This is something called the coastal paradox, and it seems a little counterintuitive, but no, there aren't any coastlines that we know the exact length of. And this is because of something called the fractal nature of the coastline, which means that the coastline isn't made up of straight lines, but it's made up of increasingly smaller nooks and crannies. So to measure a coastline, you kind of have to take a unit of measurement and let that be a straight line, and then you try to encircle the coast like that. But what this does is the differing lengths of this fraction that you choose makes quite a varying lengths of the coast. So if you look next to me on the picture, this is a picture of England, and on the left we have taken 100-kilometer fractions, and then the coastline is 2,800 kilometers. But if you go half and you say we're taking fractions of 50 kilometers, then suddenly the coastline is 3,400 kilometers. So Norway, nobody knows exactly how long the coastline is. But then again, we don't know for any other coasts either. Also, they have this fascinating place called Longyearbyen, and I very much hope for my Norwegian people that I said that kind of correctly. This Longyearbyen is the most northern city settlement that has a population greater than 1,000 people. This is a fascinating place to be. There is a ban on cats. There is a monthly alcohol limit. There's only so much alcohol you can buy in a month. And you have to carry a rifle with you at all times for polar bear protection. And while it is not exactly illegal to die in this town, there aren't any options for burying any bodies there. You can, however, bury ashes if you get permission from the government. And residents who are considered to be terminally ill are typically required to move back to the mainland. The decision to disallow burials came in the 1950s, when they discovered that the bodies of the residents who had died as a result of the 1918 flu pandemic had not yet begun to decompose. Today, scientists fear that the corpses, having been preserved in the permafrost in which they were buried, might still contain live strains of that same virus that killed 5% of the population. So you can see a picture of Longyearbyen next to me, and here is where you can see it in comparison to where the mainland of Norway is. So down there you have Norway, and these are the Svalbard Islands, and you have Longyearbyen right in the middle of those Svalbard Islands. So Norway, we don't know exactly how long its coastline is, and if you move to Longyearbyen, be prepared to carry a rifle, not have a cat, and nobody can die there. With that, we'll read a couple of comments and then go on to our next fact. Let them put the polar bears in prison. Problem solved. They should call the Canadians. Yes, this is true. The Canadians have something called a polar bear prison, where they entrap the polar bears that come into the city, and then they helicopter them out, I think, once the snow goes down enough. In Ravishkan says, in Swedish standards, you said Longyearbyen all right, but I don't know how much my Swedish can help with Norwegian. I'll take Swedish approval for my Norwegian pronunciation any day. Dominique can confirm, thanks. Hello, my name is Renee and I mispronounce words. Welcome to the stream. Then, on to our next fact that I missed. This one about the Siam monkey. The Siam monkey is a fascinating animal. They are quite the loudmouth. They are one of the loudest species of monkeys in the world. Their calls can reach 113 decibels. This is roughly the same as a chainsaw. So imagine that next to your ear. These mated pairs produce loud and quite well patterned calling, and these bouts of these patterned callings are called duetting. These calls advertise the presence that they are a mated pair. Newly formed pairs spend more time singing than established pairs. I think it's maybe the honeymoon stretch for them. Advertising the presence of a strong bond is advantageous for territorial defense, because if you work well together, then you probably defend your territory well together. Siamang duetting differs from other species because it has a really complex vocal structure. They have 4 distinct classes of vocalizations. These are the booms, the barks, the ululating screams, and bitonal screams. So where they go from ah. Both sexes do this, but that means that they have quite wonderful singing. And for this, I have a video for you. So these are the screams or the duetting of these Siam monkeys. You can imagine them being loud. Those were our Siam monkeys. And the bellbird kind of just tops them. Because I think the bellbird is around 116 decibels, where the Siam monkey is around 113. So there's not a lot of difference there. So probably because these are averages. There might be bellbirds that top certain Siam monkeys. Definitely. Imagine having both of those. Oh, whoop, whoop. Next. There. Then our next fact is about Michiel de Ruyter. And Michiel de Ruyter is a very Dutch person, and he has something to do with possibly the worst kind of cancelling for any political figures ever. So in his time, the Dutch Republic was split between two different factions. You had the statists, or the people supporting the regents, in other words, the chosen kind of government, and you had the Orangists. These support the Prince of Orange, or people that are born into leadership. This is really a difference in philosophy about who should be ruling. De Ruyter supports the statists, so he wants chosen leadership. And he is in favour of attacking England to defend the Dutch trade. The Prince of Orange, however, has family ties with the British, and he has his doubts about this being such a good idea. So, what happens? The statists send De Ruyter off to attack the English in secret, and against all odds, he succeeds. He comes home with the spoils, and he's celebrated in the streets. This means that the Orangists now have two problems. Their enemies are now rich and popular, which is not good news for them. The statists fear an attack, and they forbid De Ruyter from leaving his house. And only when the statist leaders feared for their own life did they lift the protection of De Ruyter's house. This is when it happened. An Orangist gains entry into De Ruyter's house, and he grabs a bread knife and tries to slice through the admiral's throat. De Ruyter fights him off and sends word to The Hague, but it was too late for the leadership of the statist party. Both of the brothers De Witt were hanged in the city square and ripped apart by the masses. And that is what you can see right next to me. Those are the brothers De Witt, and it is even said that there were acts of cannibalism where people actually ate parts of the brothers De Witt. But that's probably not actually true. However, the story is horrific enough as it is. So, Michiel de Ruyter, he secretly attacked the English, stole their ships, and survived an attack on his life with a bread knife. So, that is one of our Dutch heroes, I think. It's the Netherlands, though, says Dominique. Cannibalism is not off the table. No, they were literally on a table. I've heard cannibalism is legal in the Netherlands. It seems likely that they got eaten to meat. Yes, this is true. However, I'm not so sure that it is legal as that it is not written as to be illegal. There were two presenters who ate pieces of each other's flesh. Gross. Then we're going to go on to our animal of the week. This week, the giraffe. We're going to be talking about their unique looks, why their tongues are almost black, and we're going to be talking about their multi-purpose necks. And also, I think that is such a cute picture of a giraffe and its baby. Its calf. I think it's giraffe calves. Also, they drop like 6 feet to the floor when they're birthed, and they actually need that shock of hitting the ground to start them breathing, which seems insane, but it's part of the process. You have to have, it's like them smacking like a baby's feet to get them to breathe, I guess. Then first we're going to be talking about their unique looks. So giraffes used to be called camelopards because medieval Europeans thought them to be mythical creatures that were a hybrid born of the union of a leopard and a camel. And that is why giraffes are still called camelopards in European heraldry. Because that is such a weird animal to exist. Rubbish Can says, on paper, giraffes seem more unlikely than unicorns. Exactly. A long neck patterned animal versus a horse with a horn. exactly that. So they thought this must be a mythical beast. And up there is actually a picture of how it used to be depicted in medieval Europe. And then onto their spots. The giraffe's spots are just like a human's fingerprints. No two individual giraffes have exactly the same pattern. And what is fascinating is that underneath the spots, they have a system of blood vessels that acts like a thermal window to regulate body heat. And you can see this on the picture on that heat image next to me. You can see that it's actually the spots that light up to cool them off. So, giraffes, they were thought to be mythical creatures and they use their spots to cool down. Also, seriously cool animals. That entirely long neck still only has seven vertebrae. So we mammals, we have 7 vertebrae in our neck, and camels have the exact same number. I think the only animals that have like a higher number are owls and only a handful of other species. Most have 7. They're just huge. Then we're going to be talking about why exactly they have such a dark tongue. A giraffe's tongue is dark, which can be blue, purple, or even actually black, is to prevent their tongue from being sunburned, which is important since it gets a lot of sun exposure from all of that leaf eating. And it's just melanin that's in our skin that pigments our skin to be darker as well. So they have a tongue with sun protection built in because they do all of that eating. What they do, the eating of mostly, is the tree, the acacias. And the acacias tree doesn't really want to be eaten by the giraffe, so it produces an airborne chemical called ethylene. And ethylene alerts the nearby acacia trees that they're being eaten, and it gets them to produce tannin. And this is a toxin that makes the leaves poisonous and is lethal if it is overconsumed. Giraffes try avoiding this by just eating trees that are downwind from each other. And tannin is the same stuff that is in red wine or in tea, and it's it's kind of the substance in there that makes your mouth feel really dry when you drink really strong dark tea or very, very dark red wine. It's also the same stuff that we used to tan leather with. So to tan leather to make it darker, we did that with tannin. Then we're going to be talking about their multi-purpose necks. They have necks that can get as long as 6 feet. And they use this to spot predators like lions and hyenas long before the predators spot them. But they also use these necks to fight each other for dominance. Some of the giraffe dueling serves more purposes than just dominance, according to a study published in the journal Ethology. They said that the sparring behavior helps the giraffes establish their hierarchy, and the animals don't take advantage of smaller members of their herds, but rather they practice their headbutts against males of similar stature in ways that to a human might even appear to be a fair fight. Also, they are quite silly sleepers. It used to be thought that giraffes didn't sleep at all, but it turns out that they actually do sleep. They sleep about a total of 4 hours in 24 hours, so 4 hours a day, but they only do this in like small 5 to 10 minute intervals throughout the whole day and night. And this means that a giraffe only spends 4 years of its entire lifetime asleep. And because of this, very few people have actually seen a giraffe sleeping in the wild. During an in-depth study, they looked at the giraffe sleeping, and they do sleep either standing up, lying down, or with their face nestled on their own butts. No judgment here. If our necks were long enough, then we'd be getting comfy on our own trunk chunk as well. That position is used mostly though by babies, and it is very adorable. But could it be that a giraffe's neck is not long enough? Fact is that their have entirely long necks, but their necks aren't actually long enough to reach the ground. And this is why they have to have that very like splay-legged position when they're drinking, which means that they're very vulnerable to predators every time they drink. So, giraffes' multi-purpose necks, they use it to sleep on their butts, to fight other males, but they might be a little too short. And then we're going to watch two giraffe males fighting each other for dominance. And this isn't one of those where they're trying to see what the social hierarchy is, but they are actually trying to fight each other for a female. They usually don't kill each other, but they have been known to kill an opposing male. Oof, that does look painful. That is quite the impact that they have there. And they do have horns on the top of their skulls. So that adds to it. I think it started playing again. So those were the giraffe necks and giraffe fighting. So they're not only lovers, they are also fighters. Put some music in the background of them headbanging and it looks like they're dancing to a rave. It's quite violent raves you go to, rubbish cans. That seems like a dangerous pastime. Dominique says, can't be, there are no giraffes in Minecraft. What evolutionary pressure would lead to the acacia trees existing in Minecraft? I have no idea why they put them in. Pretty cool though. You are mistaken. I do not go outside. Okay. Well, maybe it's a good thing if you look at that and go, that looks like a fun rave to me. Then maybe staying inside is the safer option for now. Chengmania, hello. Currently at the wood store. Wanted to stop in and say hello. Oh, that is so sweet, Chengmania. Hi. It's good to see you. Good luck at the wood store. I hope you find everything easily and there are no splinters involved. Acacia wood? Maybe. Then now we're going to go on to one of the best parts. We are going to choose our next animal of the week. This week we can choose between the hedgehog, the honey badger, or the heron. And I have like a little bit of an idea who might win this one. Because our dear friend Stoffel has a lot of fans. And Stoffel might go for this one. So if you look next to me in the chat, above the chat you will see next animal of the week with a triangle down. If you press that triangle, you can vote for the next animal of the week. And honey badger is taking the lead with 5 votes. Heron has 2 votes in there and no love for our hedgehog friend. What even is a heron? Heron is a bird. You can see it like right up there. That is a heron. Also pretty cool. But also Team Stoffel. Like, I was entirely sure that Stoffel would win this by a landslide. Dominique says, dyslexic person trying to spell heroin? No, but just extra facts. Did you know that heroin is a brand name? Just like aspirin is a brand name. It was named after like it had a Greek goddess on it, and she was not a hero but a heroine, and that's where we get this word heroin from. Apple Juice says the voices summoned me. Honey Badger is the real top G. Yes, Honey Badger is taking this one by a landslide. Yes, we can have even more Honey Badger facts next week, which I think sounds like fun. Also, it wasn't a fair fight, was it? with heron. It doesn't matter whatever we put there. Oh, Greek goddess, cool. Give more Greek goddess facts, please. Random fact. A Greek goddess random fact, though. Oh, I don't know if I have a Greek goddess random fact. I think I'll have to kind of look this up. I think you have Jupiter and its moons, and there's a satellite that goes around them. It has a special name. Okay, I'll have to get back with you for that one. But the idea is that, according to Greek mythology, Jupiter cheats on his wife with these other people. And they called the moons around Jupiter, they named them after the people that Jupiter was having affairs with. And then they sent a satellite to watch these moons, and they named that after Jupiter's wife, so she was spying on him and his lovers. But I'll give you like an actual fact. Did you know that this is a South African fact? In South Africa, in 2009, there was an employee of an IT company who complained that data was getting transferred so slowly that it would be faster to carry it by carrier pigeon. And they tested this out. Winston the pigeon, armed with a 4 gigabyte memory stick, took 2 hours to carry the data 60 miles. In the same time, the ADSL had sent 4% of that same data. That is your extra fact. Let me see. Living Legend says, fun fact, I once saw a honey badger in the wild. On a scale of 1 to 10, how badass was that? It must have been 11, right? Yes. Because you have honey badger. And I don't even think we have to wait for this poll to end, because honey badger is going to take this in a landslide. And you can actually still see honey badgers in the crew. Very cool. But I'm not giving you any honey badger facts yet. We shall have to wait until next week. Domo should start watching the stream with carrier pigeons in her terrible connection. Yes, shame. I think that last week there was a fault with the connection for my stream, but I think a lot of streamers had that, and it seems to be something that was wrong with the Twitch servers. So let's hope we're doing better now. Stream, you fool! They haven't invented the Steam engine yet in Germany. I do have an interesting fact about the Steam thing. Did you know that we had like a steam motor way before we had steam engines, and it was kind of a party trick. It was just a bulb, and yes, the honey badger has one. It was just a bulb with 2 pipes going on opposite ways on each end. Water in, you heat it up, spins around. It's kind of a party trick, way before they thought to actually build that into a machine. Extra facts with Renee. Then we're going to go on to our false facts. Thank you for the fact suggestion on Discord. First, we're going to be talking about Fat Buddha, the Spanish lisps, and what is hot about chili peppers. First, Fat Buddha. This is also known as if somebody comes up to you, they're slightly chubby, and they say, well, I have the body of a god, being Buddha. You can tell them that they, in fact, are incorrect. The historical Buddha was not known to be fat. The chubby monk that we know as Fat Buddha, or the Laughing Buddha in the West, is actually a 10th century Chinese Buddhist folk hero called Budai. In Christianity, we only have the one guy. So people see this fat, fun guy and think, well, that is the Buddha. But it's not. The Buddha is Siddhartha Gautama. And that was a skinny dude. But the Buddhist religion over time has become complicated and has added multiple layers of deities. And many of these deities have avatars, and avatars are the human form of this person on Earth. And the Buddha was a man named Siddhartha Gautama, and he lived about the 6th century BCE in India. He was born a wealthy prince, but he chose to live as humbly as possible and searched for the meaning of existence, which he found while meditating for 49 days underneath the Bodhi tree. And then he gains the insight, and he transcends the wheel. And then what we know as the Fat Buddha, or the Laughing Buddha, is one of the avatars of these other deities. And he was said to be a fat, nice monk who would wander from village to village carrying a large sack over his shoulder. Budai means cloth sack in Chinese. He was loved by children, and on his deathbed it was said that he wrote a poem in which he revealed himself to be the avatar of Maitreya, a deity also known as the future Buddha. So, you might have the body of a god, but it is not actually the skinny Buddha, but you might have the body of the avatar of the god. His name was Budai. Then, we are going to go on to our Spanish lisp. A lot of people think that the Spanish have their lisp because one of the kings, Peter of Castile, had a little bit of a lisp and people started imitating him because this was the chic thing to do. However, this is not entirely the case. The Spanish king, Peter of Castile, lived from 1334 to 1369, and he is said to have a slight lisp. But the lisp in the Spanish region only starts arriving like 200 years later in the 16th century. It might be, the strongest hypothesis is that it has to do with the influence of other languages on Spain, because you hear the lisp more frequently in coastal regions, and this could be from Greek or Arabic. So the Spanish lisp, is it really because a king had a little bit of a lisp? Probably not. It was probably because of outside influences, maybe Greek, maybe Arabic. And with that, let's go to the chat. Rubbishcan says, I got taught about Skinny Buddha in a manga. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it happened. I think all knowledge is good knowledge. So wherever you find this new knowledge is always a good thing. And I think a manga is a perfectly fine way to learn new things. Then we're going to be talking about chili peppers. Did you know that the seeds of the chili pepper are not in fact what makes a chili pepper hot? In fact, the seeds have a very low amount of capsaicin, and this is one of several compounds which induce that hot sensation. The highest concentration of the capsaicin is actually located in the pith, and this is what the seeds are attached to. And you can see this in the diagram next to me. You have the membrane, which is like the film over the inside, and then the pith is that like white stuff that all of the seeds are stuck to, and that is actually what's hot about the chili pepper. So taking out the seeds alone won't actually take the heat out of your chili peppers. You also have to remove the pith. Also, just because pith is a weird word to say. And poor chili peppers, they have this capsaicin to make us not eat them. It's their defense mechanism. And us human came along and we're like, that's wonderful. Let's culture these and do exactly that. Eat them because of them being hot. I can't relate. I'm Dutch. I cannot spicy, says Dominique. Well, the same goes for garlic. Garlic also has that very distinctly garlicky taste as a deterrent. It's there to stop animals from eating it, but we eat it because of that. And then we're going to go on to our next batch of facts. This one is about our wonderful words. First, I am going to explain to you the difference between a moose and an elk. Then we're going to go on to how we get our word wardrobe, and then on to the word hazard and its origins. Rubbish Can says, you took a bunch of spices only to never use them. You did this to yourself. Yes. Also, the Dutch like whole economy was built on spice trading. It's like what we did. We sailed a lot, built boats, traded spices. Then, I'm going to tell you the difference between a moose and an elk, and I'm going to make it simple. This is an American wapiti. This is also called an American elk. This is not a moose. It is called the Cervus canadensis. This is an American moose, also called a European elk. The same species, just a different name. Elkes elkes. Then, this is a European elk, also called a European moose. This is not the same as an American elk. This is the same as the Elkes elkes. And that was the difference between a moose and an elk. Have you guys figured it out? I just thought it was funny. You do have different. So this is a European elk or a European moose. This is a European elk or an American moose. Same thing. These two are the exact same animal. It's just they live above at the top, like North America, North Europe. And then this is an American elk, which is not a moose. Don't run into them. If you do it at their hind legs. Oh, they can be quite aggressive. I would leave them alone. The things on top of the heads, they're slightly different. It's the exact same species. Living Legend says, why are scientists so bad at naming things? Did they just get bored at naming new things? I just think they wanted to confuse us with European elk, European moose, not the same as an American elk, which is also called an American moose, which is the same as a European elk. I think they were just messing with us. Then, with that, we're going to go on to where we get our word for wardrobe. A wardrobe comes from the French to guard your coats, because your robe is your coat. But it was also used as the synonym for the word toilet. Etymologists believe that people used to hang their clothes in the shafts of toilets to keep away moths. And if the moths stay away, this means that the chance of your clothes being eaten by the larva is smaller, because moths, like humans, do not like the smell of open toilets. So what they would do is you have this like toilet shaft next to me, and then you would take away the seat, and then you would hang rails over it, and then you would kind of just hang your coats either like in there or inside just the room, which was the bathroom. And then next to me, you can see a very fancy French, this was the very fancy French king's very first toilet, which also went down one of those shafts, but it was heated, like they had a little chimney up there so that he didn't get a cold bum. Moths, little known fact, I'm a moth queen. Sure, and I'm guessing you also do not like the smell of open toilets. That's why they did that. Then the word hazard. Our word for danger or risks is thought to have its origins in the 13th century Arabic word al-zahir, meaning gambling, and it referred to the dice that you used in various gambling games. There was quite a big risk inherent in gambling anyway, not just from the gambling itself, but also from the danger that dishonest people would use weighted dice in these games. That is why the connotations of peril associated with the word, which got back to Britain because the Crusaders learned to do these dicey dice games whilst on campaign in the Holy Land. So hazard, it might come from the Arabic word al-zahir, meaning the dice that people did their dicey games with. Maybe that's also where we get our word dicey from. And that is one of the ways how they could make their dice weighted, by putting little stones in them. Then we're going to go on to our fact tennis after our story of the week. Our story of the week is a true crime story, which is The Great Canadian maple syrup heist. So while I'm telling you about the Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist, please put any of your facts for Fact Tennis in the chat. Fact Tennis works as follows. You serve, so you give me a subject in the chat. Then I return by giving you back an interesting fact about or related to that subject. If I miss any shots, then we will put them in our next stream. Living Legend says, are you teaching us how to cheat at dice? You are a bad influence. Yes, terrible, very sorry. Oh, Dominica has a fact on us about dreams. So put all of your suggestions in the chat, and without further ado, I'm going to start reading you our story of the week. This week, true crime about the greatest heist there ever was in Canada. And of course it is the maple syrup heist. So, on the morning of July 30th in 2012, an accountant named Michael Graveau arrived at the Global Strategic Maple Syrup Reserve, housed in a huge red brick warehouse on the side of the Trans-Canadian Highway in Saint-Loup-de-Blanford, about 2 hours northeast of Montreal. Inside, baby blue barrels of maple syrup were stacked 6 high in rows, hundreds deep. Full, each barrel weighs about 620 pounds, with grade A syrup trading at about $32 a gallon. That adds up to $18,000 worth of syrup a barrel, approximately 13 times the price of crude oil. The fiscal year was coming to a close, and the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers had hired Graveau's company to audit the inventory. Quebec dominates the maple syrup market, and since 2002, the Federation has operated as a legal cartel, setting production quotas and stockpiling syrup. There were around 16,000 barrels of maple syrup in there, about 1/10 of Quebec's annual production. The gap between the rows was barely wide enough to walk through, and the rubber soles of Graveau's steel-tipped boots stuck to the sugar-coated concrete floor. He scaled a row of barrels and was nearing the top of a stack when one of them rocked under his weight. He nearly fell. Regaining his balance, he rattled the barrel. It was light, because it was empty. He soon found others that were empty too. After notifying the Federation's leaders and returning with them to examine the stockpile, they unscrewed the cap from a full barrel. The liquid inside was not goopy brown with the wintry scent of vanilla, caramel, and childhood. It was thin, clear, and odorless. It was in fact water. The Federation would need 2 months to tally up the losses of the stockpile. 60%, or around 6 million pounds of syrup, had vanished, worth around $18 million wholesale. The bold and baffling heist counts as one of the largest agricultural thefts ever. Over the course of several months, between 2011 and 2012, the contents of 9,571 barrels, valued at 18.7 million Canadian dollars, were stolen in a suspected insider job from a facility in St. Louis, in Quebec. The syrup was stored in unmarked white metal barrels, inspected only once a year. Thieves had used trucks to transport barrels to a remote sugar shack, where they siphoned off the maple syrup, refilled the barrels with water, and then just returned them to the facility. As the operation progressed, the thieves started siphoning syrup directly off the barrels in the reserve without refilling them. The stolen syrup was trucked to the south, to Vermont, and to the east, New Brunswick, where it was trafficked into many small batches to reduce suspicion. It was typically sold to legitimate syrup distributors who were unaware of its origin. So, the maple syrup heist in Canada is the biggest heist there ever was. And they got away with it simply by tapping out the syrup and filling them back up with water. And Chingmania is done at the wood store. Oh, you use bits. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to show you the next slide for our fact tennis. Okay, Let's see where the very first fact tennis is. Oh, Dominique says fact tennis about dreams. Anyone else can still add their wish for the fact tennis in the chat while I start with Dominique. A fact tennis about dreams. Sure. Did you know that it is it's not entirely sure, because you can never be entirely sure about these things, but it is quite reasonable to assume that elephants have just as vivid dreams as humans do. And this is because they actually have tracked their brains while asleep, and the same kind of regions of their brains light up while they're dreaming. Also, did you know that dolphins kind of divide their brain in half while they're sleeping, and they probably also dream, and they can have half of their brain kind of awake and half of their brain asleep and dreaming. Then I'm at the other side. Fact tennis about owls. Sure. Did you know that owls have their ears not at the same height like we do, but at differing heights, so that they can better locate not only how far away something is, but how deep into the ground or the snow it is for them to be able to catch them. Also, they are the bird world's slowest flyers. They don't fly very fast at all. And then a fact tennis about manga. Ooh, I don't know that much about manga, rubbish cans. I will have to get back with you on manga. So, first miss shot, manga. Living Legend says, fact tennis about philosophy. Sure. Did you know that, I can't remember his name, but there was this ancient Greek guy, and they were trying to give the definition of what is a man. And they came up with a definition, like it walks on two legs, it is naked, its flesh is bare, it has like eyes and things like that. And then he came in with a plucked chicken and went, "Behold, the naked man." And it had the exact same things that the definition for the man did. But I'm not sure if that counts as a whole one. Fact tennis about pianos, Changmania. Sure. Did you know that? Did you know that the? Let's see. Well, you used to have something called the glass harmonica, which you would play kind of like a piano. And Marie Antoinette would play this, where there were spinning glass balls, and you would play them with your fingers. And she played that instead of the piano for a while. And then it came out of fashion because people said that the sound drove you insane, which probably wasn't actually true. Fact tennis about parachutes, I am Trickster. Sure. Did you know that during the Second World War, the poor ladies who would want to marry somebody else, they didn't have any fabric for their wedding dresses because fabric was rationed. So whenever a pilot fell out of the sky with his parachute, they would run to them to save them and save the parachute. And they would use the silk from the parachute to make their wedding dresses. A fact tennis about grass. I'm a fan of the cat lady. Sure. Did you know? Well, we did do this in a previous stream, but did you know that grasshoppers are older than grass? This is because grasshoppers are earlier in our evolution, and before grass was such a ubiquitous plant, we mainly had lichen as our ubiquitous kind of plant that would cover everything. Lichen and ferns and plants like that. The philosopher you're talking about is Diogenes. Yes, the cynic. He lived in a barrel. Fun character. Yes. Didn't he die laughing at his own joke? I'm pretty sure that was Diogenes. I'm Trixie says, cool fact about the parachutes. Didn't know that. Thanks. So let's see. Is there anyone who hasn't had a fact yet for the fact tennis? I think for next week we're going to do manga as our missed fact, and we're going to do, let's see, pianos, because that wasn't a very good one. Changmania. Thanks for the fact, lady. The modern iteration of the grand piano was invented and patented in New York. Cool, I didn't know that. Oh, I'm Trickster, sure. A random fact for I'm Trickster. Let me see. Oh yes, this is such an interesting story. Did you know that there was a woman born with only 3 fingers on her hand? And then she has this tragic accident and she loses the hand completely. And then she gets a phantom limb symptom. And phantom limb symptom is where your brain kind of fills in that there is still a limb attached to it. And she gets phantom limb symptom, but in her phantom hand, she feels 5 fingers. And she has never had 5 fingers on that hand. But her brain kind of filled it in for her, which I think is insane. Also, just an extra one. Do you know how we get seedless watermelons? We get seedless watermelons the same way we get mules. You get a mule by, you do like a horse and a donkey together, and they make an offspring but sterile. And the same is with the watermelons. You just take the offspring between a diploid, which has 22 chromosomes, strain of watermelon, and a tetraploid, which has 44 strains of chromosome watermelon. Then you cross them together, and then you don't have seeds in your watermelon. Let me see. I'm a fan of the cat lady says, that's so weird. I also heard about it being the other way around. People who want their limb removed. Yes, this is also a thing. This is the condition where you feel like your limb is alien to you. So you feel like it is not yours. And these people really feel like this is not a part of their body. And sometimes they're even described as making like movements that are involuntary, which they wouldn't want to do. Living Legend says, at that fact lady, there are different stories about Diogenes' death. 1, he held his breath until he died. 2, he ate raw octopus. 3, he was attacked by a dog and the wound got infected, but we don't really know what happened. Cool, so who was I'm sure there's also a philosopher who died laughing at his own, and I'm pretty sure fart joke. But I can't remember the name. The name eludes me. I've remembered the story though. But I really can't. Maybe we can look it up. Maybe somebody can look it up. And I think that's also all of my missed shots, right? I haven't missed anything. Chrysippus. Oh, Chrysippus is the one who died laughing at his own joke. Big change on one. Big chance I will die laughing at my own fart smell. That's pretty bad. If that is so, then maybe see a doctor. Might be something wrong there. But also, like, smells for everyone. Then, did you know? Extra interesting fact. Did you know that very specific odor you get when you fart isn't actually our bodies ourselves? It's the bacteria in your gut, and it's their emissions that make that very particular, like, eggs gone bad kind of smell. It's not our bodies. It's not our fault. It's not us doing it. It's your gut flora doing it. So you can blame it on them. Then we're going to go on to our very last fact of the stream, this being our wholesome fact. After our wholesome fact, we're going to try to raid somebody else. And I think Dr. NPHD might still be on. Let's first check if they are on. Let's see what channels we could raid. We have Dr. NPHD, we have Astro Canuck, and we have Kanara, the lady who cooks. But Dr. NPHD only has 7 viewers, so we could go raid them now. And then hopefully they're still there. Oh yes, thank you, Living Legend. Also, we have now started up our YouTube channel, so I will be uploading the streams to YouTube so you can keep them there forever and always watch them back. Then when we have our next big fact quiz, then you can go back and watch a couple of streams to refresh your memory on the facts. Please give any feedback that you have on our Discord. Let me know what you like. Let me know what we could do better there. And please come watch the YouTube clips. Then we'll go to our tardigrade boy. Yes. So then on to our wholesome facts and then on to Dr. and PhD. First, our wholesome facts. Did you know that's that thing that you get when you look at something that is so cute that you could like smush it? That is called cute aggression, and this is something that we call a dimorphous display, or when you act out, you have one emotion but you act out the total opposite emotion. So for instance, you cry because you're so happy at a wedding, or you laugh because you're so nervous. And people who are more prone to that kind of dimorphous display are also more prone to cute aggression, where you just kind of want to smush it because it's so cute. And this is thought that our brains are overloaded with so many positive emotions because it looks so cute that your brain just has to balance it out with a negative kind of emotion in the aggression, just because it's so cute that your brain can't handle it. So cute aggression. It's your brain's way of coping with animals that are so cute that you just cannot handle it. Thank you all for joining me again for this new stream. Please come follow us on YouTube and chat with us in the Discord. And with that, thank you all very much, and we will be back next week on Sunday. And remember, everything is interesting if you look at it closely enough. For now, we're going to say goodbye and go to Dr. and PhD. And we should be able to start the raid. Jeroen! Hi and bye. See you next time. Bye. See you there.